r/AskReddit. What are the most ducked up things you think about on a regular basis? If I can't get in contact with someone for a few hours, or if I'm expecting someone and they're really late, I think about what I'd do if they died, how I'd handle it, how I found out, how upset I'd be. I did this most when I lived at home and my parents were gone for a while. I'd just imagine the worst and the steps I'd have to take next. This is called negative visualization and is actually a key part of Stoic practice. At least when done mindfully. You're basically preparing yourself ahead of time so that when something tragic inevitably does happen, you've already thought about it and have some idea of what you need to do, rather than being completely lost. The key is doing so mindfully. Of course, you don't want to spend all your time obsessing about everything that could possibly go wrong. But, especially if you find yourself naturally doing it all the time, I do too, you can learn to do so productively. And it can actually somewhat counterintuitively make you feel better about things, whether or not anything bad happens, by making you aware of, and hopefully more grateful for, what you have now. Edit. The community at r/stoicism has some good resources if you are interested in this sort of thing, which probably explain this way better than I can off the top of my head. I was reading through all the other replies, thinking to myself, duck, I do this fairly often, and while I'm sorry for everyone else's loss, it is not good for me to be reading, until I came across your reply. I have to extend a warm thank you for the positive spin on negative visualization. I just think about how easily I could ruin my life. Like, how little effort would it be so take off my clothes in the office and run around shouting obscenities. There's no coming back from that. Actually pretty interesting. When you think about it, every person is on the brink of chaos 100% of the time. All you have to do is make one instant and terrible decision and you're ducked. And I think about that every goddamn day. My favorite variation of it is thinking about all the cars in the lane of oncoming traffic. We've both agreed to stay on our side of the paint. The only thing preventing us from hitting out high-speed death machines into each other. Sometimes I'll be talking to someone, and I think about what would happen if I just punched them in the face. I think something similar, except it's usually kissing. What would this person did if I suddenly tried to make out with them? And it's not even hot chicks. Sometimes it's like your boss or a stranger or the waiter. Killing myself. Probably. I don't actually plan on it. I was hoping this would be higher up. I thought this was something everyone did. My first therapy session is next week. Wish me luck. Therapy is great. Even people who are mentally feeling good can benefit from it. It's basically like having a good friend to talk to, except you don't have to worry about them gossiping or judging you. And they are trained to be able to help instead of just saying HMM. That sucks. How I would react in various ducked up situations. What if my non-existent child gets cancer? What if a bomb goes off at the finish line of this 5K? What if a fire starts in this concert venue? What if I lose control of my car and drive off this bridge? What if a midget hits on my face while I'm taking a nap? I have this weird thought every time I use a urinal that has gum in it. How nasty it would be to chew that gum. Then I shudder, zip, and forget about it until next time. Think about how I could just disappear. Act like I'm going to work and just leave. I especially had this feeling when I visited some family in the southwest and we popped into Mexico for a day. I just stood at an intersection where I could look right and see the border crossing, and left was just further into Mexico, and I thought about how I could just walk away and never be found again. Go start a new life somewhere else. Though I'm pretty poor, so I wouldn't get very far. I've done this as a teenager. To be fair, I didn't know I was going to do it until it was done. But I did it, and it was equally as heartbreaking as it was liberating. But now, as an adult with my own family, I often think of this. Mostly about taking my son and he and I just leaving. Moving cross country, like I did before. Or even to another country. I fantasize about picking him up from school and boarding a plane and landing in Ireland. Our new home. I'm not as carefree as I was when I was a teen. So I don't think I ever could. But I definitely think about it often. Edit. This blew up far more than what I was expecting. I figured I would add a bit of backstory. I was 15 and lived on the west coast. Packed for a month vacation. Got on a plane to visit family in the south. And just never used my return ticket home. I had my own issues that no one saw. And when I tried to tell them, no one believed. So I used this new setting as a place where no one knew me and I could run from my demons back home. Absolutely ripped my dad's heart out doing so. Which I still apologize for. But I know I did the right thing. I went from big city to small town. Which was nice for all of 6 months. Then I figured out how most of these people didn't like someone with different ideas than them. So I was kind of ostracized as a teen. A couple years later, I was staying with a friend in a bigger city and told her let's get a place together. So I moved again at 17 to a bigger city with only what could fit in my car. It's been over a decade. And I'm still in the last city I moved to. Have a son and fiance. And for the most part happy. There's always that itch though. To just forget everyone here and start again. I, like 90% of the population, have depression, so I feel like running when it hits hard. There's something liberating about taking your life in your own hands and doing something drastic. But not detrimental with it. Have you never contacted your family since? Like full on ghosted them? Sometimes when I'm driving, I look over to the car in the next lane and think what would happen if I just rammed into them. Gotta lay off the GTA. That is normal. I think it's called Call of the Void or something. If I had $1 for every time someone mentions the Call of the Void, I would have $37. I want to tell everyone to just duck off. Especially my family and closest friends. I just want to destroy my social life entirely and leave. Maybe that's not universal. But I think it's common. I often think about selling everything I own and building a cabin in the middle of nowhere. I don't want isolation. Just a fresh start. Far away from the bullet of my hometown. Maybe keep a couple of friends. Not that important if we all forget about each other. Edit. I already plan on leaving the state and starting over in a new city. I just can't with my current situation. I'm only 17 and am in high school living with my parents. If I'd jump in front of that train, I'd probably explode in a cloud of blood. Thanks Reddit. Now one of my top comments is about jumping in front of a train. What would happen if I just didn't stop my bike at this intersection? Edit. A busy one full of cars. Cyclists stop at intersections? Not where I'm from. I read a Star Trek theory about the transporter a while back. Basically it says that atomizing your body, beaming it somewhere else, and reassembling it will kill you. But in putting it back together, it creates a new consciousness that looks and sounds just like you, and even has all your memories. So to everyone else, including this newly created consciousness, you appear to have just been harmlessly teleported somewhere new. But the you that went into the transporter is very much dead. Anyways, I was talking with someone about that, and they casually said I wonder if that happens when we fall asleep too. I've thought about that every day since. Oh duck. I can't believe you've done this. That fantasy of being the hero in a work or school shooting. I feel bad since I'm hoping a terrible event happens just so I can boost my ego. Charge the gunman. Knocking the gun out of his hand. Uppercut. Run over to the gun and grab it. Shoot him in both legs. Wait for the cops to show up. I wake up in hospital. The gunman shot me while I charged him. It's a miracle I'm still alive. I travel to Berlin. That's where I hid the chandelier. That's where I hid the chandelier. Oh my god. Where is this from? I so barely remember the reference. Sometimes when I'm getting ready in the bathroom and look down at the sink and see my toothbrush and face razor next to each other, I think, what if one day I'm on autopilot and accidentally pick up my razor and start brushing my teeth with it. Then I move my razor to a drawer. I need to get this thought out of my head. Yes, that thought is like nails on a chalkboard. Duck. My dog's ex-life. Little buddy hasn't bust a nut in 8 years. What nuts? Where are my testicles, Summer? because of Bill Burr. What would happen if I went to a bake sale and just started smashing people's muffins? How many muffins could I mush before anyone did anything? In my office, there are donuts and muffins served about 3 days a week on a regular basis. Whenever I walk past the kitchen I just grin and laugh to myself. What if I just started smashing all those breakfast pastries? You underestimate muffin bakers. They'd get you after the very first muffin. I see you know the muffin man. I'm constantly driving in the car, traveling for work, and often catch myself thinking how many great places there are to hide a body and how easy it would be in towns no one knows I've even been to. I live in Arizona, so this one crosses my mind a lot as well. Lots of empty desert to stash someone. I grew up in Arizona and moved to Oregon. Let me tell you, a remote forest is so much better. Scenery wise I mean. Not for hiding a body, probably, but also probably for that. My mind always drifts to just how tenuous our society really is, and how quickly things would devolve if the power were to go out for a few weeks. I suspect that many people are just a few square meals away from savagery, and that many more are completely unprepared for even a minor emergency. Thankfully my teenage son has been saving empty milk jugs for a while. He has a plan. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm just gonna do what he says when the zombies come. This jugs. Randy.